Karoline Leavitt is not good at her job, no matter the question, no matter the setting, no matter the scandal that she's responding to. She could be on Fox having the easiest softball question lobbed at her, and she'd still find a way to screw it up, which is exactly what she did in a meltdown, a tantrum of an interview with Sean Hannity on Fox last night, in which she completely freaked out over all the turmoil in Donald Trump's administration. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, of course, there are so many problems that Donald Trump is responding to, so many self-inflicted scandals he is dealing with, but the biggest of them all is the problems with his big, beautiful budget, which isn't just disliked by Republicans in the Senate, but one of his closest buddies, Elon Musk, who called it out. And I want to take a look at what he had to say before we see Karoline Leavitt lose it.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both.
When Elon Musk of all people, someone who is directly benefiting from this bill, a bill that will give billions more dollars to Elon Musk corporations, a bill that will give Elon Musk billions of dollars in tax cuts, when even he is calling it out, you know things are bad for Donald Trump and Karoline Leavitt. But it's not just Elon. Like I said, Republican senators, we've seen Rand Paul speak out against Donald Trump. Ron Johnson made the very true claim, maybe first time in his entire political career, that this spending bill, this budget, will do damage for generations to come, especially because of the millions of people it will steal health care from. This is a disaster of a bill. This is a disaster of a budget, and it's why Karoline Leavitt is making up fake people to defend it. Just take a listen to what she had to say.
There is good news today. Consumer confidence hit a record high, and also the highly respected pollster Matt Rasmussen showed that the majority of Americans view our country as heading on the right track under President Trump. This is a stark contrast to what that same polling showed under the previous disastrous administration led by Joe Biden. As for the trade talks, since you mentioned them, I was just going back and forth with our United States Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, who informed me that the Trump administration continues to be in intensive talks with India, and the president, of course, has applied very public pressure to the European Union so that they, too, can have a miraculous trade deal just like we cut with Britain and our friends in the United Kingdom. So we continue to move forward in cutting good deals that put the American people and the American worker first.
So I have to point out that Matt Rasmussen, that's not a person. He does not exist. Rasmussen obviously is a pollster and someone with that last name did start it, but it wasn't Matt. Matt's not real. So we're at this stage of Donald Trump's administration, the making up fake people to defend his agenda, even though actually I think we already did that with tariffs. Donald Trump did have a fake tariff expert defending his failed economic agenda, so I guess we're at part 2 of the fake people, but it didn't stop there because Karoline Leavitt decided she'd come up with an even more ridiculous defense of the actions of Donald Trump's administration, addressing one of the biggest scandals he's currently facing right here.
And the president is more interested in giving that taxpayer money to trade schools and programs in state schools where they are promoting American values, but most importantly, educating the next generation based on skills that we need in our economy and our society. Apprenticeships, electricians, plumbers. We need more of those in our country and less LGBTQ graduate majors from Harvard University. And that's what this administration's position is. And we also are not going to tolerate the illegal, criminal, anti-Semitic behavior that we saw take place at Harvard and many other college campuses across the country.
Is this really how we're spinning Donald Trump's politically motivated attack against Harvard? He's investing in a new generation of workers who he's causing to lose their jobs because of his tariffs. Really? That's the new generation of workers? Donald Trump has removed appropriations from already passed budgets to invest in manufacturing, actually trying to grow the workforce, something that was done under Joe Biden's administration. But no. We're going after Harvard for money that will eventually just be given to Elon or some other billionaire and claiming that it's an investment in the working class. That's great. Real sound logic there. And it's not just that they're pushing these lies, it's that they're pushing distractions, recognizing how unpopular what they're doing right now is. The worst meltdown we saw throughout the entire interview from Karoline Leavitt actually came when she started talking about President Biden. Just take a look right here.
It seems like the administration is going back and getting to the bottom of some unfinished business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, all of those announcements coming from the FBI, Kash Patel, and of course our great Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is committed to the truth, Sean, just like President Trump and his entire administration, and committed to an unprecedented level of access and transparency that is led by President Trump at the White House every day. He takes questions from the press. He talks directly and honestly and candidly about the problems and the challenges he is solving, not just here at home, but also abroad. And he's demanding answers. And one of the things he is going to continue to push for answers on is who the heck was running the country over the past 4 years. And you just talked about it in your monologue, and I'm glad to hear it, because this is truly the greatest political scandal our country has ever seen. We had unelected, radical left White House staffers who nobody knew their names running the most powerful country in the history of the world. And the Democrat Party was in a complete alliance to cover it up. And the mainstream media was right along with them. They were asking Joe Biden what his favorite ice cream was, rather than asking him whether or not he was suited to run the country. And so we need answers on what took place over the past 4 years, because look at the consequences of having these unelected radical left-wing staffers in the West Wing running the country. We had
Donald Trump was rambling about trophy wives at West Point, and it's Joe Biden who we have to check on to see if he had it all there during the end of his presidency. I mean, really, the guy who was passing the historic legislation? That's the person? Donald Trump doesn't even seem to know where he is most of the time. Can't get through a simple sentence. And yet, it's still Joe Biden? Or do they know Joe Biden's not president, right? I feel like we need to ask that question at the beginning of all these press briefings. Because, we've switched on and off if it is or is not Joe Biden's economy. But does Donald Trump still think Joe Biden's president? I don't know. I really can't understand most of what's coming out of this administration most times. But that's why it's just so important to hold them to account, because oftentimes they'll just fold, which is actually exactly what we saw from Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, when he was grilled by Ari Melber in this clip right here.
No, it's investigations, but the fact that so many in these first 110 days, some of them which are announced on social media or other avenues before the defendants or even read their rights and given information, raises the question that it looks like to some that this is political targeting. The ACLU says it's autocratic targeting. And you respond tonight by saying, well, they did it. The Democrats did it. Well, if they did it, that's your view. Does that make it okay? That's what I'm asking.
I said, wait a minute. I said I find it shocking that they would accuse the Trump administration of weaponizing against their opponents when they did the exact thing during the Biden administration. I'm not making any comparison. I'm just saying I find it shocking for them to make that claim when they did it for 4 years. I'm not making any claim we're weaponizing anything. I don't think President Trump's weaponizing anything against his political opponents. We're enforcing the law. We're investigating crimes. If there's evidence that a crime has been acted upon, then they need to be charged. In the last 4 years, we heard no one's above the law. We're either our members of Congress, either our judges, and either our other people. You've crossed the line, you violate the law, you should be indicted, you should be charged.
So I know you brought up Congressman McIver. I said I'd give you time on that. The reports here are that part of the narrative about her has been, quote, contradicted by the video footage and witnesses who were at the scene. It was a scuffle. That's on video. She says it's intimidation. I know you have said that she was, quote, unprofessional. And people in public life can agree or disagree on who in whichever branch of government are professional. But does it concern you that someone who in a co-equal branch is supposed to oversee ICE, I'm sure you don't deny her elected authority to do that along with every other member of Congress in both parties, does it concern you that now it looks like, according to her lawyers, that the law enforcement agencies are trying to intimidate her out of that enforcement? And do you really think the video suggests that she was physically assaulting and battering armed agents, because it looks more like a kind of out-of-control scuffle.
She claims she was there on oversight. We open facilities of oversight every day across this country. There are, all you have to do is show up to the facility in a professional manner and request a visit. Go through screening and go see it. We are proud of that facility. I want everybody to go look at it. Maybe all the false narrative will stop about how ICE's detention standards are just so terrible. But she shoved an officer, she put hands on her officer. That's unacceptable. These ICE officers, and when you cause a ruckus like that, then that makes that facility unsecure, because officers who should be dealing with the prisoners, very serious prisoners, criminals in that facility, they're dealing with the ruckus outside. It makes the facility unsafe. It's unsafe for the officers. It's unsafe for the general public. We take the security of those facilities very seriously. She knows how to do oversight. You go there and request to look at it. Don't barge your way in, and regardless of what happens, you don't put hands, and you don't shove an ICE officer who's there to protect the facility and protect the public from the people in that facility.
You think DOJ will win that case?
What I saw, I think she put hands on an officer. She shoved an officer. She needs to pay the consequences. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, they dropped the one.
I spent 40 years doing this.
No, I know you have experience.
This is the same week. We're in the same. No, we're in the same week. We're in New York. We're in Washington D.C. Supporting the men and women of law enforcement, state, local, and federal, who gave the ultimate sacrifice. It was Law Enforcement Week, Police Week. I attended memorials for Border Patrol and ICE. I buried Border Patrol agents. I buried ICE agents. And I met with many families of fallen officers from federal, state, and local law enforcement. A week we're supposed to celebrate law enforcement. We got a member of Congress putting her hands on one at a facility.
All right, well,
very unprofessional conduct.
I said I'd give you time on that.
The mayor showed up for one reason.
Okay.
He wanted press time. He got it.
It's not just the fact that they are liars. It's the fact that they are such bad liars, that they are so willing to go and puff their chests out and act so big and strong and macho and tough when they're on Fox, as Tom Homan always does. He loves going on Laura Ingraham, right? Because he's just kind of served up softballs and he can try to swing at them. I'm not going to say he hits anything out of the park, but he pretends he's all tough. He faces any pushback of any kind and he crumbles. And it seems like he's obsessed with AOC. He's constantly talking about her. I don't know. Maybe he wants to support her eventual Senate campaign, presidential campaign. I don't know. He's a big fan. Come aboard, Tom Homan. You seem like you really like the Democratic Party. But until you do, we're just going to keep calling out your lies and, of course, your criminal activity. We're going to be doing that every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.